There is a supercar quietly reshaping expectations before it has even reached full production. And once you understand what it is engineered to do, you may never look at the modern hypercar segment the same way again. This is the story of the next generation Saleen S8, a machine that industry watchers believe could redefine what an American-built performance flagship is capable of. And if even half of what insiders are projecting turns out to be accurate, this could be one of the most talked about launches of the decade. Welcome to Premium Automotive Reviews, the channel built for people who refuse to settle for surface-level specs. Here, we take the time to actually understand a car, not just list numbers on a screen. We break down design language, engineering philosophy, and the small details that most outlets skip entirely. Stick around, because before we're done, we're going to walk through the technology inside this car that could quietly outclass rivals costing twice as much, and a design decision on the rear deck that almost nobody is talking about yet. Saleen has always occupied a strange and fascinating space in the automotive world. It is a brand built by racers for racers, one that has never been interested in following anyone else's playbook. So, when word began circulating that the company was preparing a bold reinterpretation of its flagship for the 2027 model year, the enthusiast community took notice immediately. This is not a brand that simply refreshes a bumper and calls it a new generation. When Saleen moves, it tends to move with intention. Start with the exterior, because this is where the transformation feels the most dramatic. Where the outgoing car leaned on a shape that already felt aggressive for its era, the next generation is expected to push that aggression into something closer to a rolling sculpture. The nose sits low and wide, with a face that looks like it was carved by wind rather than drawn on a screen. Slim, layered lighting elements are expected to replace the older circular units, tracing thin, purposeful lines across the front fascia that double as a visual signature and a functional airflow guide. Every gap, every vent, every intake appears to serve a purpose, channeling air toward the brakes, the radiators, and the underbody rather than existing purely for show. The greenhouse is expected to remain low and cab forward, a nod to the car's motorsport roots, but the surfacing around it looks tighter, more resolved, less like a body kit and more like a single continuous idea from nose to tail. Deep character lines run along the flanks, feeding air into intakes ahead of the rear wheels that keep the engine breathing under sustained hard use. The rear haunches swell outward with real muscle, hinting at the width of rubber sitting beneath them, and the stance overall reads lower and more planted than anything Saleen has put on the road before. Around back, expect a full-width light bar treatment paired with quad exhaust tips finished in a heat-tinted titanium look, a detail that instantly signals serious power underneath. A functional diffuser and an active rear wing are both anticipated additions, working together to manage downforce at speed without turning the car into something that looks like a track special that escaped a racetrack. Saleen's own badging is expected to remain proud and unapologetic across the tail, because subtlety has never really been the brand's language. Wheels on a car like this matter more than people realize, and the next generation S8 is expected to ride on forged multi-spoke designs that blend function with visual drama, wrapped in high-performance rubber, wide enough to put every projected horsepower figure to the ground. It is a look that says race bred without needing to say anything at all, and it is designed to command attention whether the car is parked outside a hotel or streaking down a straightaway. Step inside, and the transformation continues in a very different direction. Older Saleen cabins were often criticized for feeling more functional than luxurious, and the next generation appears determined to close that gap without losing the driver-focused character that defines the brand. Expect a cockpit wrapped in premium leather and Alcantara, with contrast stitching running across the dash, doors, and seats to break up what could otherwise be a very dark, very serious environment. A digital driver display is expected to sit directly ahead of the wheel, reconfigurable to show anything from a simplified speed readout to a full data cluster for track days. A central touchscreen, angled toward the driver in classic sports car fashion, is anticipated to run Saleen's own infotainment architecture, built for quick, intuitive control rather than menu after menu of distraction. Ambient lighting is expected to run subtly along the door panels and center console, shifting tone depending on drive mode. a small touch that adds a surprising amount of personality after dark. Space has historically been tight in cars built around a mid-engine layout, but early indications suggest the cabin has been reworked for genuinely usable daily comfort, with improved sightlines, better ergonomics around the pedal box, and more thoughtful storage tucked into the console and door pockets. This is still a machine built first for performance, but it no longer appears willing to sacrifice everyday livability to get there. Technology is where this next generation is expected to make its biggest leap forward. Modern driver assistance systems, including adaptive cruise control, lane monitoring, and blind spot detection, are anticipated to be integrated in a way that respects the car's performance identity rather than dulling it. Over-the-air software updates are expected to allow Saleen to refine throttle mapping, suspension behavior, and infotainment features long after the car leaves the factory floor, a capability that would have been unthinkable for a low-volume performance brand just a few years ago. Connectivity features are likely to include smartphone integration, a dedicated companion app for remote vehicle monitoring, and a suite of driving data tools that let owners review lap times, G-force readings, and telemetry after a spirited drive. None of this is expected to come at the cost of driver engagement. Saleen's philosophy has always centered on the connection between driver and machine, and industry observers expect that philosophy to guide every technology decision rather than get overridden by it. Now let's talk about what actually moves this car, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. The next generation S8 is expected to be built around a twin-turbocharged powertrain, continuing Saleen's long-standing commitment to forced induction rather than chasing a fully electric identity outright. Estimated output figures place the car well into the territory of the most serious hypercars on the road today, with projected horsepower numbers that would make this one of the most powerful vehicles ever to wear the Saleen badge. Industry estimates suggest a possible hybrid assist layer could be layered onto the twin-turbo architecture, offering an instant surge of torque at low speeds while preserving the raw mechanical character that Saleen enthusiasts have always valued. A lightweight carbon fiber structure is expected to keep weight in check, despite any added electrification hardware, helping the power-to-weight ratio stay firmly in supercar territory. A track-tuned suspension setup, likely featuring adaptive dampers, is anticipated to allow the car to shift from a genuinely comfortable road car into a razor-sharp track weapon with a single drive mode selection. Ride quality is expected to be one of the more pleasant surprises here. Where older Saleen models could feel unapologetically stiff on rough pavement, the next generation appears engineered to offer a wider range of behavior, soft and composed when cruising, taut and communicative the moment the pace picks up. That kind of dual personality is exactly what separates a good performance car from a great one. Safety, in a car this capable, has to be taken seriously, and the next generation S8 is expected to lean on a reinforced carbon monocoque, multiple airbag zones, and a full suite of electronic stability and traction systems working quietly in the background. Automatic emergency braking and forward collision warning are anticipated additions as well, giving the car a genuinely modern safety net without diminishing the raw, analog feel that defines the driving experience when the electronics step back and let the driver take over. Practicality is not usually the first word associated with a car like this, but the next generation appears to have made real strides here, too. A reworked trunk layout and improved cabin storage are expected to make weekend trips genuinely feasible, not just theoretically possible. Visibility improvements around the pillars and mirrors are anticipated to make daily driving less of a chore. And the overall ergonomic package seems designed for someone who wants to drive this car regularly, not just trailer it to a track twice a year. Compared to the broader landscape of modern hypercars, this next-generation Saleen appears to be carving out its own lane rather than chasing anyone else's formula. Where some rivals lean almost entirely into electrification, and others chase ever more extreme aerodynamic devices, this car seems focused on balance, delivering explosive performance without abandoning the tactile, driver-first character that made the original S7 platform a cult favorite in the first place. It feels less like a spec sheet arms race, and more like a statement about what a driver's car should still be able to do. So who is this car actually for? It is for the enthusiast who grew up idolizing American performance engineering and wants to see that spirit carried into a genuinely modern era. It is for the collector who values rarity and character over mass-market polish. And it is for anyone who believes that the future of the supercar does not have to mean losing the soul that made these machines special in the first place. The next generation Saleen S8 feels less like just another entry in the hypercar conversation, and more like a glimpse of where a truly American performance icon could be headed next. Built on decades of racing heritage but engineered with an eye firmly on the future. If this direction holds, it will be a machine that respects where it came from while refusing to be left behind by where the industry is going. If this kind of deep, honest breakdown is something you want more of, consider sticking around and let us know down in the comments what you think this next generation gets right, and what you're still hoping to see confirmed. This video is based on current automotive industry insights, publicly available information, market trends, design analysis, and reliable reports available at the time of writing. Specifications, features, pricing, performance figures, production plans, and launch timelines discussed here are projections and industry expectations only, and remain subject to change unless and until officially confirmed by Saleen. Viewers should treat all performance and technology details as informed speculation rather than confirmed fact until the manufacturer releases official specifications.